fearsome beast greets visitors at the entrance of the Naracoorte Caves Reserve in southeastern Australia. Thylacoleo, or the marsupial lion, roamed the green continent about 50,000 years ago. However, it had nothing in common with modern predatory cats. The distant relatives of these fossil animals are kangaroos and koalas. Thylacoleo lions had large incisors like rodents. The rest of their teeth were so sharp that the predator could easily gnaw through even large bones. They ran fast, jumped high, and used their tails as a fifth limb, leaning on them during battles with opponents. In short, once upon a time, marsupial lions struck fear into all their four-legged and winged neighbors. This animal was quite large, reaching up to 130 kilograms and the size of a jaguar. Its bite was twice as powerful as that of a modern lion. In 1859, a British paleontologist described it as the marsupial lion executioner. Paleontologists from Flinders University reconstructed the predator's figure based on remains found in one of the Naracoorte Caves. Among its authors was Rod Wells, who, along with colleagues, once made a sensational discovery. They found tens of thousands of giant skeletons belonging to ancient inhabitants of Australia in the underground. Large animal bones had been found on the continent before, but never in such quantities. In 1969, Professor Wells and his team descended into the well-known Victoria Cave. It was a tourist site with railings and electricity, but their path led deeper into unexplored caves where they had to crawl. While crawling through some shafts, he felt a breeze and realized there was a large open space ahead. Wells and his companions dismantled a stone wall and found themselves in a large underground chamber littered with the skeletons of prehistoric animals. The scientists couldn't believe their eyes. There were so many. But soon they understood why Victoria Cave had become a stone sack of bones. A hole gaped above it, and the inhabitants of the area simply fell into the pit and couldn't get out. This was a monumental scientific find because a vast number of bones from over 100 species of Australian animals were discovered, including megafauna that had long been extinct, and even some complete skeletons. Scientists were most interested in the representatives of Australian megafauna. These giant animals appeared on the continent about 2 million years ago. Among them was the diprotodon, the largest marsupial inhabitant of Earth in its history. These animals reached considerable sizes, 3 meters in length, 2 meters at the shoulder, and weighing up to 2.5 tons. The closest relative of these large animals is the wombat. Not only wombats, but also kangaroos had giant ancestors. Crocodils grew to about 3 meters, roughly twice as tall as their distant descendants in the 21st century. Crocodils could feed on plants located quite high up. They would grasp trees with their front paws, bend them, and reach the best fruits. They moved like kangaroos, hopping and reaching high speeds. In total, the Naracoorte Reserve has about 30 caves, 9-meter monitor lizards that swallowed their prey whole, 5-meter horned turtles with spiky tails, giant eagles, and geese. This is far from a complete list of megafauna representatives whose remains were found in Victoria Cave and neighboring underground chambers. Among the numerous remains were also those of a large land crocodile, quincana, which, when standing on its hind legs, reached about 1.5 meters in height. It was about 6 meters long, a formidable predator that could move quickly across open spaces. By our time, the animals of the green continent have noticeably shrunk. The largest inhabitants of the country, large red kangaroos, reach a maximum height of 2 meters. According to research, all representatives of megafauna died out one after another between 50 and 30,000 years ago. But what killed them? One theory suggests it was humans who settled the continent during this era and began hunting. Biologists explain, to wipe out a species of giant animals, it's not necessary to kill every individual. Large animals reproduce infrequently, and it takes a long time for their offspring to reach maturity and produce the next generation. Thus, the destruction of even a few individuals can lead to the extinction of the entire species over time. However, there are opponents of this theory. They argue that humans arrived in Australia 50,000 years ago, but many giant animals only disappeared 200 centuries later. This means that for a long time, two-legged creatures and megafauna lived side by side without significant harm to the latter. So, did the giant inhabitants of the continent disappear for some other reason? Scientists now believe that humans are not to blame for the disappearance of Australian megafauna, but rather a sharp climate change that led to the gradual desertification of most of the Australian continent, the disappearance of water, and the loss of forests. All this resulted in the extinction of megafauna. Researchers say that once upon a time, Australia fully justified its second name, the Green Continent. Most of the land was covered with dense forests, but over time they turned into deserts. In the open, barren spaces, large animals requiring shelter and abundant food simply couldn't survive. Australia is located in the tropics and subtropics, which already implies a hot climate. The continent is surrounded by cold ocean currents that prevent the formation of rain clouds. The mountain ranges in Australia also block rain clouds, resulting in minimal precipitation. Today, representatives of megafauna, animals weighing from several hundred kilograms to several tons, mainly inhabit Africa: crocodiles, lions, giraffes, gorillas, elephants, rhinos, and hippos. Thousands of tourists travel to the Black Continent just to see them in their natural habitat. Unfortunately, the numbers of these giants are rapidly declining each year. In Africa, megafauna are primarily threatened by poachers, habitat disruption, and the destruction of food sources. Sadly, it's very difficult to combat this because large animals are a source of valuable bones and hides, which are actively sold on the black market. Ecologists warn, the extinction of even one, let alone several animal species, will disrupt the food chain, putting many other inhabitants of the African savannas at risk. The measures already taken to protect them are insufficient. If they aren't strengthened in a few centuries, or perhaps even decades, our descendants will study animals like elephants in the same way we study mammoths today, through pictures and skeletons. What do you think about it? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your opinion is very important to me. Don't forget to give me a like if you liked it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new episodes. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.